Warm welcome to a Podful of Saints on Tuesday, the 23rd of August, 2022. It's all going smoothly so far. It's number, I don't know, 5 or 6 of a season, who cares? Myself, David Tavener, somewhere over there, the man who gets it all going, Jake Ellacott.
Hello, Dave. You haven't called me elephant yet, so I think it's an improvement.
Do you want to do it to him, Lee? That's Lee Wood sitting over there on the other side of St Albans.
I'm not that harsh, mate. I'm not that harsh. But you know what, Dave? You smell that, mate? That's the smell of victory, my friend. La victoire.
Well, yes, because we're looking back on last Saturday, 20th of August, a 2-1 win for the Saints away to Cheshunt in National League South. Our 5th successive win on that date. Our 3rd win in 17 games. More importantly, our 1st win of the season. And I was standing by the side of the pitch, and it looked thoroughly deserved. What about where you were, Jake?
Yeah, I can only echo that. I think, obviously, I suspect a lot of people following the game remotely or online or looking at the game afterwards thought, oh, the red card changed the game. And of course, it had an influence, to have your keeper sent off. But the Saints were well on top, weren't they? And before that, it felt like it really only was a matter of time until the goal came. So it felt like a continuation of the sort of most of the performance against Hungerford, particularly the second half. Controlled most of play, created some decent chances. And on this occasion, we put the chances away. So as you say, Dave, I thought it was a deserved 3 points. And I think it was just important to get on the board and get the season going. And I think, during the first half at Cheshunt, I talked to a few people about we just need a bit of luck. We just need to get going now. We need Shaun to find the back of the net. Then he'll start firing. We just need the Saints players to just get there. And second half, it worked in our favour and it gave us 3 points.
I don't go along that bit about we needed luck. We needed a change of attitude. And we saw it against Hungerford. We were more attack-minded. And on Saturday, we were to a great. I wouldn't say a goal was definitely coming. And Preston Edwards, how many real saves did he have to make? First half header from Callum Adebayo, I think it was. Beyond that, he didn't have an awful lot to do. And sending off did change it because, you got a bit of a video from behind the goal you took on your phone, Jake. And that keeper, he should have saved that free kick, the first one, shouldn't he, from Shaun Jeffers?
Yes, it wasn't the most spectacular finish, was it? I'm not sure how the keeper managed that, given he was pretty much on that side already. So, but I think it was actually really important for Shaun to score. I think first few games he's not looked the most on his toes, and even first half at Cheshunt, actually, I thought there was 1 or 2 half chances that maybe he didn't quite go for that he naturally would. A few balls flashed across the edge that he didn't go for, but yeah, that free kick, however it came, bit of luck, bit of bobbling. I think it was important, and I think we'll see the Saints and hopefully Shaun start to kick on.
I think you're right, because that second goal, that was more like the Shaun we knew from last season. Ball comes in from his left, he turns and drills it past the keeper. That was a lovely goal.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. That's why we've put him on, the contract we have, and that's what we need him to do every single week. But we also got to mention the players around him have got to find him first. They've actually got to pass him into dangerous positions. And I say that second goal they did, and I think that's been missing as well. So much improved there as well.
Unfortunately, you weren't there, Lee. I don't know how you were able to follow it, or if you were following it at all. But I'd imagine you enjoyed the win as much as we did.
Always, Dave. It was a tale of two keepers. I mean, if you look on the highlights, Edwards is trying to sort of plead his case to the referee. He's going, "I went for the ball." Well, of course you did, mate. The left one or the right one. It was pretty dangerous tackle. But going in terms of the replacement keeper, I mean, I didn't know he was the actual genuine sub keeper, because going the way he went after that shot from Shaun, it was almost as though you put your spare right wing in goal. You know what I mean? Because he should have saved that. That's absolutely, he's had an absolute nightmare there. But going back on to what you were saying, the intensity was always there. Hungerford especially. The lads have been picking up. It just lacked the quality. And I think we had that a little bit on Saturday from what it looked like. Big concern for me was the goal we conceded. That ball travelled a long way. And but again, overly critical we could be. But as you say, Dave, it's 3 points, mate, on the road against a newly promoted side, and they would have been fancied themselves as well. And does our season kick on from here? Let's hope so.
It's funny, Lee, you say about that goal, because last season we let in a lot of goals from crosses into the box. I think it was something like 18, and we scored just 7 from a similar situation. And a minute after they got that goal Saturday, they should have had an equaliser. Or they certainly could rather than should. It's a good save by MJ. But we seem to be slow at learning these lessons.
Feels like, how long have we been talking about this? It's just unbelievable, isn't it? I think I was pleased with Ian's post match that straight off the bat he didn't want to talk about the positives from the game. He did say sort of, what are we doing at the end there? That's totally unacceptable. It shouldn't be like that. So that was positive to see. I'm glad, Ian's being realistic there. But I say, I mean, when that first one went in for Cheshunt, or their goal went in, I was like, oh, it's not going to happen, is it? And then 60 seconds later, to see exactly the same ball go into the box again and be one.
I was going to say, how long have you been following us, mate?
I know. And being one at the back post again, I was like, no, surely not. And to be honest, we got away with it there. Really did. He should have maybe done better. Good, decent save from MJ. But yeah, I think as well, disappointing thing as well, after we went 2-0 up, I feel like we just took our foot off the gas a little bit. I know we hit the bar through Kyran. Decent effort, unlucky not to go in. But they also hit the bar with a very good effort, to be fair. So felt like we could have maybe pushed on a little bit at 2-0, but we sort of sat back a little bit. But yeah, mistakes at the back again. We've got to work on it desperately, otherwise we're not going to get anywhere. But thank God we held on.
Well, it's funny because I felt the goal aside and the header seconds later, I thought we defended better there than we did against Hungerford, even though we had probably more the ball against Hungerford. They looked more of a threat. But Cheshunt, I thought we really shut them out until they had that late flurry. Cracking shot that hit the crossbar. That was a superb effort. But Kyran's wasn't too bad either. It's funny. I stood most of the second half next to Kyran's dad, and he was saying at Oxford, they tended to play him more as a winger, where we play him central, and he didn't get some books so often out on the flanks as well. So maybe we can look to move him around a bit. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. I think it's worth mentioning that I thought that Hugh Dawson made a bit of a difference in midfield after he came on for Shez Isaac, who got a knock. I mean, how long's our injury list now? It seems to be growing by the day. But Hugh Dawson, he might not be the most technical player in there. He's still got a lot to learn. But what he did give was more legs in there. And I think we've missed that alongside Kyran. Kyran can only do so much in there. And I think Hugh got in there, battled, made some decent passes, but he covered some distance, which was good. And I think he's definitely put himself, in contention for a starting place for the upcoming game. So good to see that happen. But, another concern is that injury list now, isn't it, Dave?
Well, it looks like we've got another hot weekend coming up, so you can imagine Ian will want to do a fair bit of rotation. So you can certainly see the likes of Hugh coming in and maybe some others. But looking at the bench last Saturday, we had David Noble there. Whether that's because of injuries or just because we were struggling so badly to be creative, don't know. He didn't get onto the pitch. We also had Manash Sundaya, and you and I saw him after the game, Jake. He was stretched out on the physio's bench. He didn't look good, did he?
No, and I don't think he really did much training the week before either. So I think he was very much a desperate times choice, but I don't think he was ever going to come on. Same with Nobby, really. It didn't even really feel like he was an option. So the squad suddenly is looking a bit weak, isn't it? Just from these injuries. And Ian's got a tough job there. He's got a lot of players. I mean, he talked about it in his post match. He's got a lot of players this week to try and get back to any sort of fitness in training. I mean, Mitchell Weiss missed out again, didn't he, with his knock? Although he was there on Saturday doing a little bit of light work. But yeah, I don't know if it's, Dave, you mentioned on Saturday, I don't know if it's the pitches, the conditions, or what. It's just the injury list seems to be growing, exponentially.
That pitch was poor, wasn't it? A lot of clubs will be struggling because of the weather it's been the last couple of months. But that one was particularly poor, and it didn't help either side. And Cheshunt has 3 straight wins. No, it's not. It's returning around. 3 straight defeats for them after winning on the opening day. It's a tough baptism for them, isn't it, at this level? From what we saw, did you see enough there for them to get out of trouble?
It's hard to say, really. It's too early, isn't it? I'd say it's too early to tell what they're going to do. I mean, I took a lot more from their game at Clarence Park last season in the trophy when they walked over us. I think they showed enough in that game that they could definitely do well this season. Having your keeper sent off for a straight red isn't going to help if the backup is of that standard. But it's too early. I mean, there's been a lot of mixed results in the division so far, and I just can't tell what's going to happen, to be honest.
Anything to add to that, Lee? Particularly looking at the injury list, the squad is thin.
Yeah, but it was no more than a fortnight ago that Ian said he was happy with the depth of the squad. Appreciative that he wasn't going to preempt the fact we were going to have 1 or 2 stroke 8 or 9 injuries. But just touching on what Jake said about Dawson, I think you've done him a little bit of an injustice there, mate, because I think that he's a more than capable a replacement to sort of come in. The one thing I like about Dawson, he's got a bit of bite, and I think we've mentioned this in the past as well. And sometimes him and Wiltshire in the middle, or I mean, to be fair, Isaacs is technically gifted, but he's not going to get up and down the pitch. But Dawson is more than capable to help us win games going forward, certainly.
Well, one thing I will say about Hugh, given the last season, his first season at this level, and he's very young, of course, he did really well. What I would like to see him now is put in more performances like we saw. Was it the Corinthian Casuals FA Cup replay last year when he got that goal and he seemed to go forward more and attack more? Too often he's looking for the safe ball. I know that's the way they're taught in academies and whatnot. Looks for the safe ball. If he's going to help us to win games rather than just not lose games, then if he can add that to his regularly to his performances, then it's going to be difficult to leave him outside.
Good point. Yeah, very good point. Yeah.
Good, okay, right. Anything else to add for Cheshunt, or can we move on?
I think we mentioned that in last week's, didn't we? You know, playing with wide players again. You know, Ian pretty much stuck with that again, and they might not have been as successful against Cheshunt, but they gave us a little bit of space, didn't they? You know, Liam and Zane, and I think Liam's, you know, almost on his longest run in the team since being here. 2 games, could be a third on Saturday. And if I was Ian and the coaching staff, I'd stick with the formation. 2 wide players, it's working, isn't it? And I hope Joe Neal as well behind Shaun in a more central position, a bit more natural for him. I thought again, you know, they weren't spectacular performances from any of them, but they did enough. And you know, why change a bad thing? Why change a winning thing at the minute?
No choice, mate. You've got no players left.
yeah.
I thought Liam started well first 10 minutes. Then he went off for a long time. He was giving the ball away sloppily, like he often does. Then he got himself back together again later in the game. Yes, I would start with him Saturday against Taunton. Give him this run of 3 games or whatever, and he's got to. It's really up to him. But that form he showed early and late in the game, he's got to do it for 90 minutes to really make it hard for Ian. But well, hopefully he's going to do it. And Joe Neal, desperate for a goal. I couldn't see one coming Saturday. Was that 20 now or 21 without a goal? Something like that.
No, yeah. But we've got to give him the plaudits for winning the red card, haven't we? I say winning. You know, he did well to get near the ball and get into that position. You know, he did well to beat 2 defenders to it. Didn't quite beat the keeper, but, you know, did the job. And I think, as well, I'd like to mention Tafari Moore at left-back. I thought, again, he had a solid game. And actually, second half, he actually bombed forward quite a bit and actually got into some positions where he probably could have had shots. So that was good. And I thought, you know, given that Mackay West was so impressive in those first couple of performances, I think it's important that someone can step in there and cover him, because, I mean, what Mackay West is probably out for, was it at least 2 weeks, Ian mentioned, I think, last week. So someone's got to step in there. So hopefully he can.
Very good. Right. We are finished with that now, aren't we? Yes. Right, let's move on.
This is a professional production.
Well, I say we're finished with it. Congratulations to one of you for getting the prediction right last week. The first this season.
Who was that, David?
I think you know who that was, Lee. Well done.
Well, I was due, mate. It's taken me like 2.5 years, but I'm going to dine out on this, mate, for many, many months to come. You wait.
It's funny. I mean, if the whistle had gone early, Jake would have won it. If that bloke had got the header, neither of you would have won. We'll see what you like for this Saturday. This Saturday, it's Taunton Town at Clarence Park. Yes, they're settling in quite well at this level. They've got to win at last. We had them in the FA Cup a few years ago, didn't they? They got a couple of players from Venn. Ollie Chamberlain has scored a couple of goals that day, and the goalkeeper, Lloyd Irish, and the manager, Rob Dray, he was involved there as well. So they've still got a few left over from then, but they've had non-stop success. They're going to find it a bit harder at this level, you'd like to think. And with us now having got a win behind us down the park, we've got to fancy it.
Absolutely. I have terrible memories of that cup game. Was it the replay or was it on a Wednesday night? What was
No,
the
it's just a
score?
one-off game on a Thursday, was it?
Was it?
Was
Oh,
it
because
Thursday?
I think it was Wednesday. It was because that the season where a team got removed, didn't they? And then all the fixtures got moved around. What was it? 5-2, 5-1 in the end.
Oh, two.
That was a terrible night. So hopefully it's an improvement on that. Yeah, I mean Taunton, not had a great start, have they? But then on Saturday they got a really good win against, was it Dartford? 1-0 behind,
Yeah.
2-1 win. And Dartford, I think a lot of people would have picked them to be up there in and amongst it this season. So they're no Muggsy and Douse in charge. So it's a good win for them, a bit of a statement win, really. So like us, we'll be going into it confident. So will they. So I think it boasts to be a really good, entertaining game on bank holiday weekend at Clarence Park, and I think it should
Bonk
be
holiday
really fun.
weekend.
Bonk holiday. That's very different.
I'm all for that, mate. Don't worry.
Oh God.
Yeah, those goals against Dartford, their first goals of the season, actually, hadn't scored in the first 3 games. So whatever we think of this league, it is a big step up from Isthmian League and Southern League, and maybe we ignore that because we think the standard at this level could be better. But it is a big step up,
Yeah,
and they're finding it.
of course it is. But I think we've got to be confident, haven't we? Win on the bounce, good performance against Hungerford. Probably not going to change the team. I wouldn't have thought, Ian, unless he has to. The only question marks is, is Mitchell going to be fit or is someone else going to be fit to try and contest for a position? But otherwise, I don't see why change anything.
No, did Joe Neal go off an injury on Saturday, or was he just substituted?
Yeah, that's a good. I totally forgot about that. Yes, he did. He did go off with a knock, didn't he? I think he might have initially picked it up in the challenge with the keeper, and then I think he went off about 15 minutes later. So Chris Paul came on, and he was a bit anonymous, wasn't he? I'm not really sure what Chris Paul's best position is at the minute. I don't know if he's central midfielder, attacking midfielder. I don't know, but yeah. So maybe it's going to have to be Mitchell back in if Joe's not fit. I don't know.
Actually, that substitution there, I think that I need to check it properly. I think that was the 600th substitution of Ian Allinson's reign.
Oh, Dave, you have too much time on your hands.
I'm going to get my prediction in nice and early. I'm going to go for 2-0 Saints. Yes, mark my words. Get it in.
Right, okay. Yeah, okay. You want to go for one then, Jake?
I'll go 3-1 Saints, actually, I think, for Saturday. Hopefully it'll be a good atmosphere. Decent crowd as well, hopefully. Might see a bit of a bigger crowd, people returning from holidays, hopefully. People on down Clarence Park. And I think Taunton will have quite decent away support, actually. So hopefully it'll be a nice afternoon in the sun. And if you're free, get down there, enjoy the Mad Squirrel beer and the mighty Saints picking up 3 points.
They got a few players we recognise, no former Saints, but they got some former Bath City players in there, Western-Sutton-Mare players, we're used to seeing them. So it will be 1-2 familiar faces for supporters, but none with City connections. Then after that, of course, a year on from Devante's terrible injury down at Tonbridge Angels, we returned there. They had 3 successive away games start of the season because their pitch was being relayed into a 3G pitch. And they had their first game on it last Saturday and went down 4-1, which bodes well, doesn't it?
I mean, I think we have to mention the first floor. I mean, thank you, fixture computer, for an absolutely terrible game for Devante to go back to. I mean, exactly a year on. What are the chances? Unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Tonbridge have had a good start, haven't they, Dave? They've got Jay Saunders in charge, brought in some good players. I think they could be a bit of a, unsuspected challenger for a top 7 finish this season after a few campaigns of real struggles. It's going to be tough. We know it is. The 2 games down there last season, the abandoned and the midweek game, weren't exactly easy, were they? They weren't exactly enjoyable spectacles.
It was dreadful.
Oh, I'm being kind.
That defeat ended their unbeaten start to a season, 2 wins and a draw. It's funny, when they got rid of Steve McKim, we thought, what are they doing when they bring in Jay Saunders? And it seems like finances have increased down there a bit, and they're going to be much stronger beside, you think, until you see their result last weekend.
We don't have the greatest record on 3G, do we, either? But we've got to fancy ourselves if they lost. Who did they lose to at their home game, Dave?
Home to Hampton and Richmond Borough crowd of 1,053.
What the heck? Whoa. Whoa, what a club.
Actually, there's nothing to sort of do down there.
Yeah. But, you know, we know what to expect, don't we? And it's tough to really say because it all hinges on Saturday's performance, doesn't it? Play well and we'll be going there confident. You know, don't play quite as well as we did the last two games. I think there'll be a few question marks. And I think, like you mentioned, Dave, the key question is going to be in terms of rotation and who starts and what does Ian do with that. And, you know, with the squad so thin as it is, I'm not really sure how much rotation he's actually going to be able to do over the next two games.
Another interesting thing would be the crowd on Saturday, because we've got quite a few down on our average for last season, first two games. Now we got this win. In fact, we've only, of course, lost only once of the first four games, which sounds quite impressive. That just doesn't look underneath that thin veneer. So hopefully, although it's still holiday weekend, isn't it? Hopefully we'll get a few more down there.
You think so, but I think what we have to understand is that going from last season, the players that are on the pitch, their confidence shatters really, really easily if you have one or two bad results behind them. And that's why I think I'm picking up on what Jake said about Saturday's game is really important heading forward, because it's going to be the springboard. It's going to be the catalyst for us sort of going into Tonbridge, because you only can't look in any more than banks of two games because the squad is so thin. We've got injuries coming out of our ears. And these relatively are the same players that were shot to bits last year in terms of their confidence. So take it step by step. It's really early in the season. Everyone's just sort of figuring themselves out as well as other teams around them. And but you know what? I'm quite confident. And I think touching upon Devontae as well, I reckon he'll be relishing it seriously, because he has surprised me in not only the fact he's back already, but the intensity and the level that he's performing at as well. I mean, he was outstanding. He's been outstanding so far, and he's been going into tackles, and he's been the Devontae of old, taking on people, whipping in some really high quality crosses, and hopefully he'll just see this as another game playing for us.
Last Saturday, Joe Ree, I think his name is, the Cheshunt captain, got booked in the last few minutes for a kick, a wicked kick on the back of Devontae's leg, and he was fine. I don't know if it was the one that broke, but you know, he just shrugged it off and got on with it, and his spirit's been terrific.
Yeah, I think he's probably been one of our best players of the season so far, isn't he? And that is unbelievable for him to do that. So fair play. I think on Saturday, I think it'd be nice to see us put in a confidence performance at Clarence Park and get away with 3 points, because let's be honest, last season at Clarence Park and most places we played second half of the season wasn't great, but some of the games at Clarence Park as well in front of big crowds were so poor performance wise. So it'd be good to see us try and continue that confidence and get 3 points and get the fans back through the gates, make Clarence Park somewhere they want to go on a Saturday, and hopefully we can start against Taunton.
I think you mentioned earlier, Jake, but our record on plastic is not that great. But it must be, 10 clubs? I haven't checked properly yet. 10 clubs have got a plastic pitch this year, so you've got to perform on it. Otherwise, you're going to lose.
We better start soon, boys, isn't we? Eh?
Yeah. And, you know, last season we often talked about, David Noble can't really play on it, can he? We haven't got that problem now, really, have we? Unless the injury crisis deepens further. So we've got no excuse, really, have we? You know, players are used to playing on 3G. Like Lee often said last season, they train on it every Tuesday and Thursday. They know what it's going to play like. They know what it is. And I think probably, you know, Tonbridge is a new surface. So I suppose the only question is it going to be covered in all those little black bits that you often get with new pitches? But otherwise, you know, down at Tonbridge, we've got to be going confident again.
Of course we will. And hopefully get 2 better games down there than we did last year. As we know, finances of clubs are being hit just like everybody else, with everyone's expenses going up, with a cost of living shooting through the roof. I believe you've got something on this, Lee, you want to throw in there?
Yeah, so I've been talking to a couple of the National League clubs this week, and obviously the Isthmian League have looked into the idea of sort of helping out some of their member clubs by bringing forward the kickoff times to like a midday or 12:30 kickoff, so they haven't got to use their floodlights as much in the winter months. Now, it's been discussed in meetings in the National League, but I don't think they're going to go to those levels. I think because the distances that sort of teams have to travel, it's not always going to work out. But things like increasing the travelling expenses, and they're looking at other situations where they can help out clubs. Because even in the pandemic, although it was a given, over 2,000 grassroots clubs had to fold because of the pandemic, just through lack of finance. And although it's a different battle that they're going to be facing now, it still has the potential to just absolutely put the kibosh on some of the lower league clubs. National level, I think what is also good is that some of the bigger sides in the National League have flipped it on its head, in so much that they're now offering out to their clubhouses and their grounds almost as like temporary accommodation, soup kitchens offering free meals, heated areas for families as well, which is always a nice touch. All those clubs are going to be sort of doing that individually, but I think the league as a whole, they'll be looking to implement plans over the next month or so in terms of how they can help the clubs and to keep them costs down, because we're going to have water hose pipe bans. So there's going to be restrictions on how much water we can put on our pitches, etc. So that's going to affect performances as well, perhaps. So all these little things, all they're going to sort of come together, and they're not going to be any help to the clubs. But again, the league are in talks about how they're going to try and counterbalance that going forward.
Yeah, the early kickoffs. I remember we did it during the 73-74 season during the coal miners' strike. We had some early kickoffs then, so it's nothing new. It has been done before. So if it helps the clubs, look at it.
And Dave was the ripe old age of 40 in 73-74. Oh God!
I think that elephant.
I think, like Lee says, I think stuff like that's got to be considered, because this is just another kicking, isn't it, for clubs that suffered so much over the pandemic. So hopefully, early kickoffs. I don't know if that's the way to move forward. And with the National League as well in the Premier Division, it's difficult, isn't it, because they've got TV and stuff like that, and BT. They normally have the National League as a 5:30 kickoff because of the 12:30 Premier League game. So we'll see what they do there. But something needs to be done, doesn't it? Because fans and clubs alike are going to be suffering during the next couple of months.
Also, it's all going to be dependent on both of the teams agreeing to it. Because if you're Wrexham and you're travelling up to wherever it is, Solihull or whatever, and Solihull want to sort of bring it forward, and Wrexham are like, well, our fans have got to get there as well. And if it's too early, fans have got to go ridiculously early or go for an overnight stay. And an overnight stay in Solihull isn't going to be high on anyone's agenda anytime soon. But
yeah, I mean, imagine if we had Weymouth on a Saturday in the middle of December. What time do we have to leave for that for a 12:30 kickoff, and fans as well? So I think it's definitely something to consider.
You mentioned there about clubs had a hard time during furlough. A lot of them, ours included, I think did rather well, actually, Jake. And clubs made more money than one would have expected at that time.
But Dave,
this is a different thing altogether.
It is, but what I think you'll find is that those clubs that did should be the ones that are stepping up to the plate and offering out their grounds and their hospitality areas to help people who just, to have some food or just to get warm. I forgot what the statistic was, but you'd be surprised the percentage of St Albans is actually living below the poverty line. It's actually a lot higher than people think. So this community club sort of bubble that the club have created now, hopefully you'll find that they're offering out those sort of services when things are really, really rough.
Yeah, it's often said St Albans people are property rich rather than cash in the bank or whatever.
Yeah.
And they need it in the bank at the moment. And also on the point of helping everybody, it stresses the point of the club. Also, it's going to be a trust, Jake, getting transport for supporters to get to away games and promote it properly, so as many people as possible go on these coaches. Just do it at cost price. Don't look to make a profit, and then really help out people as much as we can.
Yeah, the trust is trying to look at them. There's one going to Tonbridge, which is sold out, which is good. So hopefully there'll be more coming down the line. I think the trust is keen to do it, and hopefully if the Tonbridge one goes well, there'll be more coming soon. And hopefully, as I say, they will be promoted and fans will be able to access them.
Can I ask?
Sorry.
What size vehicle are you taking down there? Because I'm only sort of thinking, if you've got a minibus, right? Say we win 4-0 on Saturday, and it's really good performance. Sun shines out. Everyone's got a really good vibe about it. It's you know what? I really want to go to Tonbridge on the sports coach. But if you've already booked out a minibus, it was always going to sell out. Once you get the usual suspects already getting their names down nice and early, you've got to start trying these things, especially on a bank holiday weekend as well. I'm not saying do it for every single game, but there was absolutely no harm in taking a very, very minute hit and putting a punt on a decent sized coach to go down there. That's what the trust is for. That's what the trust is for more than anything else, is to provide a service for the fans. And I think if you get a minibus and say, oh, it's sold out, and it doesn't offer anything to anybody.
Well, you took my point exactly there, Lee. I was going to make. Here we are, about a week from the game, and they're already saying to supporters, well, no, we can't help you. That can't be right. With that amount of time in hand, they should be making a bit more effort to try and get something bigger.
I mean, I would say that coaches do have to be organised quite a bit in time in front to make sure they are reserved and ready to go. So, but no, yeah, I think once, I think stuff like the Tonbridge game, I think will prove that there is a good core there, and maybe that larger coaches can be booked or at least looked at for coming games. Definitely.
Especially now we're on this winning run.
Dave, why are you always so positive?
Well, you can be positive now, Jake, with your prediction for Monday.
I will go 1-0 Saints.
Lee, you're going to bet that or what?
No, I'm going to settle for a draw, actually. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I'm on a winning run myself, mate, with these predictions. So just calm your beans.
I mean,
so I'm going for a draw. So
it's my birthday 2 days later. I've got to go for a win. Come on.
You don't get away with a draw, Lee. What sort of draw?
1-1.
Very good. That'll do. If we win Saturday, draw Monday, I think we'll all be happy with that.
Absolutely. Dave, wanted to mention that a supporter tweeted us earlier about a book they'd heard being discussed on TalkSport. It's a new release, isn't it, Dave? It actually isn't set up. I'm actually quite shocked he's actually got that there. I had no idea.
Good
well done.
Lord.
Denied promotion by a tree. Yes, you're right, actually, Jake. It's written by Les Scott. It's over 5,000 football facts in there. And the main one, although it's not on the opening pages, you have to go about 3/4 of the way through it, is the story of us being denied promotion in 1993. It's only a short summary of what happened then, but we get another mention as well for a guy who scored, headed in his own cross when he was playing for Dulwich against us. That was Tommy Jover. And the stuff we said, or it was truly sent them, a photo there, a photo on the back of the book is Clarence Park as well. There's a scan of a programme from that Dulwich game from some time in the 40s, 49, I think it was, and a cutting as well. That's in there as well. So we got quite a bit of publicity in there, and he's taking it around football clubs around the country, and as you said, at radio stations as well, he's promoting it. I'm not sure if it's actually available as yet. Mine came from the publishers. I think it was a September publication, so it might not be on Amazon just yet.
Quick question, Tabs. The pages that you've helped supply the info for, are they on like a yellow page with like really minute blue writing, and they're condemning everything the club have ever done?
That's it. You got it.
I hope they refer to the proper name of Clarence Park, which is the Mozzarella Fellas. Oh dear. But yes, thank you to Gary who tweeted us earlier, heard it on TalkSport, and yeah, brilliant. So if you're interested, go find that wherever you get your books these days. And on that note,
very good, Jake.
On that note, have we got to go?
I think we might. I think we probably should.
Yeah.
By popular demand.
Yeah. So thank you all for watching. I don't know why you all keep watching. Absolutely brilliant numbers. Thank you very much. And yeah, tweet us, email us, and we will see you on the other side of 6 points for the Saints, I think.
See you on Saturday first.
Oh yeah, sorry. Bye bye, everyone.
Cheers.